right, welcome to Tailgate Talk. It's Ritter and Tasker. Wags out yet again this week. I feel like Wags just always on this nonstop vacation. He did actually text us this morning, told us he's in Miami.
Yeah, I know. And my response was, that doesn't sound like whitetail country.
No. And the one thing I'm thinking when he says he's in Miami, I'm like, I'm super jealous because I'm going like, oh, Cuban food.
Yeah.
Cuban food. I want the foods of Miami. So just a little jealous of Wags. But you want to follow us on socials, it is at On The Tailgate. I am at The Real Ritter. That's like a fishing reel. At Wisco Bow Hunting is Eric Tasker. And funny we bring up food as we get things started this week because we're actually going to be talking all about food on the show. In fact, we did this a couple weeks ago. We got talking and you actually brought in a book that you had, Tasker, that was all about venison and cooking and stuff. And the author of the book we managed to get a hold of to get on the show, Miss Allie's Kitchen, which, by the way, Allie, I got to say, ever since we've talked about you, you're all over my social media feeds.
And that's a good thing, right? Am I doing something right?
Yeah, I guess. It's that or these things that we have attached to us, hear us mention a name or something, and instantly just feed us those things all the time.
It's creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last time that we had connected a while ago, and then we were trying to coordinate dates and everything. I know you've got a lot going on. You guys are building out an event studio and all of that. And I had sent you another message, a screenshot of one of my friends that I work with here who follows me on TikTok, and she sends me your video, and I'm like, oh my God, we're going to talk to her in like 2 weeks. So this is actually perfect timing. This is great.
Oh, that's so cool. How flattering. Thanks for having me here. It's always just really cool to be able to talk with like-minded people who love the outdoors, love hunting, love eating good food. So thanks again for having me. It's really cool. It's an honor to even for people to find my book on social media. It's wild still. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When Tasker brought the book in, I'm a huge food person. Like, I am totally a cook. I am foodie. I'm very, I'm going to say elitist at times when it comes to food.
No, I get it.
I absolutely admit it.
I get it.
I'm a food elitist. And a lot of times when you come across like these wild game cookbooks and things, I'm sorry, the majority of them are kind of trash to me. And especially when they're trying to do like other cuisines with wild game. And I'm like, okay, that's not a taco. Come on. And it's just, right. I'm that person. I admit that I'm the elitist. When I started paging through your book when Eric had handed it to me, I was like, no, actually, this is pretty legit. Like, she knows her stuff. Like, so that's me giving a compliment to you. Like, you actually impressed me with the book. Like, I remember, like, the chimichurri was the one I was like, oh my gosh, she actually understands what a real chimichurri is. I mean, do you travel a lot? Do you draw some of these inspirations from actually eating and traveling and understanding these cultures, or where's it all come from?
I do. I travel a lot. I read a lot. I'm a big reader. I've had the opportunity to travel a little bit. I'm very fortunate. I live in Pennsylvania now. I went to Auburn University in Alabama, and I feel like it was kind of my high school experience and my college experience were both melting pots. I've had an opportunity, when I was at Auburn University, obviously it's in the South, but I met a lot of different people, and I had opportunity just to kind of, when you're so far away from home, you just are like forced to create new family there. And my family they're culinary. My dad is just a lover of food and wine. I grew up, I'm primarily Scot-Irish, but I grew up, my dad has a love of like Italian foods, and just like Mediterranean cuisine. So, Sundays were usually spent, we would go to the grocery store and just kind of like pick around for hours and like what kind of jumped out at you. No classical training, no culinary training. I just love food. I love to eat. I've always loved to eat. And I've worked in the restaurant industry a little bit. I do have friends that are in the restaurant industry. I'm actually opening a wedding venue. So I kind of have my hands in all these different pots, and I've learned from a lot of really cool people. I mean, I know you guys totally probably know who Hank Shaw is. He's been like Mondo kind to me. Even looked over the manuscript of the book when I was putting it together. Scott Lasap at The Sporting Chef. I'm on The Sporting Chef on the Outdoor Channel now. Scott's been so kind. He is so well traveled. An amazing resource. So I just kind of have been lucky to pull experiences from different people, but I'm just a really curious person. I'm not afraid to fail with the recipe. I think that's a big point of it. People always assume that I just like grew up in a hunting family. I knew how to work with wild game. This is like not the case. I had some really bad meals. I've grown up culinary, a home cook. But I met my husband. A lot of people don't know. My mom made me an online dating profile.
Oh,
Super like funny, embarrassing. But we went on our first date, and I don't think we've ever left that first date. We don't think we've really been apart since. And so I was just like quickly thrust into this like really big hunting family. My father-in-law has been a hunter since he was about, I think he was like 18 when he started, but just was like really into it. One of the original bow hunters in PA. And my husband has been hunting than before I can legally say. So it's like in their blood, and it's so fun. And but in the first year we were together, he had a really nice PA mountain buck, and I was just like, wow, awesome. We're broke. Now I don't have to buy beef.
Right.
And it was awful. Like, I think it's one of the only times in my life that I was like, we got to order pizza, man. Like, this is bad. We can't eat this. I just overcooked it. It was under seasoned. I had like probably no acid going on. And I think I used like stew meat, which was probably just kind of like a discard cut. And I tried to do like some sort of curry, and it just was like rubber, So there was a little bit of a learning curve for me. I'm culinary, but I didn't know how to really work with such a lean, respectable protein. I grew up sourcing all my meat from the grocery store. Just because completely like opened up every avenue for me. I've done a complete 180 in like my food, I guess like my food thesis. I don't know what you would call it. Just my theories around where food should come from, or could come from. But yeah, that's a really like long, convoluted no. I don't travel the world frequently. I'm a toddler mom. I have a toddler. So most of my recipes can be made in under 30 minutes because I get it. I own 2 businesses. I work a lot, and I like to spend time with my kids. So,
yeah. Allie, you hit one thing on the head that I think is really important for people to hear and learn is trial and error. That you're like, you know what? I made something messed up. And I feel like a lot of people, when cooking anything at all, because like my wife was kind of the same way. Like, I've always been kind of a superfood person, and she like has always been able to cook, but it wasn't till her and I got together and like watching me starting to cook, and she realized that, like, it's okay to experiment, and you can experiment, and that's what you should do. And like, it's okay to mess up. Like, not everything's going to be perfect. Even to this day, when we cook anything for each other, we do anything, we do notes, and it's not like this is bad, or like you feel bad. Like, she'll like make something, she'll go, okay, notes, what do you have for me? Or, vice versa. Like, so that it's always about growing and learning. So that your story, I think, is really good one for people to hear, that it's okay to mess things up. Try again.
It is. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I know we all want to respect our meat and respect our harvest, right? Like, nobody wants to just like throw something out. And I'm happy to like troubleshoot with people. I have somebody this week, they made a bear roast. We were really fortunate to have a really nice PA fall black bear that sustained us like through the pandemic, which was really nice. Didn't have to buy any meat. It was awesome. But she had cooked a roast, and she's like, it's still dry. And like, I cooked it for a long time, I feel like, and it's still dry and it's not falling apart like you said it would. She's like, it's in the fridge. I don't know what to do. And I was like, get up tomorrow, put your oven on like 275 or 300, just keep basting it and just keep cooking. She texted me or messaged me on Instagram last night and was like, oh my God, it fell apart tender. I'm like, it's okay. Like, message me. I'm always like here to talk to people. And B, it's okay. Like, just keep going. Sometimes you just have to keep going. I just have this like big saying, feel the fear, do it anyway. Like,
I love it.
I know it's not like terrifying, but sometimes it can be terrifying because you're like, I don't want to waste the meat. I work so hard for this, and what do I do now? So it doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, my husband has like a rolling notes list of like, especially if it's still from the cookbook, like this needs to be this way. This needs to be. It takes me a while, and so, yeah.
You mentioned bear. That's one protein that people don't think about. You got to treat it like a pig. It's a giant pig.
Yeah.
You do?
I mean, you think about like, you mentioned like pork shoulder. You mentioned
like beefy.
It's dark. I would say it's dark meat pig. To me, bear makes the best sausage.
Yes.
Best sausage.
I think that's what you hear a lot of is bear sausage. That's what people's default is for a lot of things. But I feel like with bear, that's always usually the default meat that they will make then.
Or cook it low and slow and long time.
Yeah.
Totally. But I have a burger recipe because the issue with bear, like you're, comparing it to pork, is you need to cook it to 165, for food safety. So with a burger, you're like, well, I always recommend my venison burgers. I'm like, listen, pull them at medium rare like I do, or medium if you must, but like it's going to be way better. But, bear, you can't do that because it's not food safe. So what I actually do is I add grated butter. I do this to my venison and elk burgers too. But I actually figured it out with the bear. If you add frozen grated butter and cook it to 165, I usually do mine in the Traeger, which I know is a little like bougie, but a lot of people have a Camp Chef or a Traeger or a pellet grill these days.
Yeah.
I just find the smoke kind of locks in that juice, and the grated butter still makes it juicy. You need to use cheese. But you can make a really good bear burger that's super flavorful. Obviously, it's not going to be like your medium burger that so many of us love. But there's other things you can make. I've got a good bear chili. Actually, my venison, it's not venison. It's just labeled shepherd's pie soup. That I originally developed for bear. I thought it would be easier to just like write it as beef, venison, or bear. But, anything that you can use like ground and cook all out, you're going to love bear. My husband's favorite chili of all time is bear. I like venison, but he likes bear better. So it's very versatile. You're so right. You have to treat it like pork, but it's kind of like this beefy. It's much more mild than like a hoofed animal. So
yeah, you mentioned cooking at temperature. I kind of live on the edge of things, even with pork. I'm not that person that like my pork chop has to be like completely dry. I'm like, it's good.
It's
you know
good.
What I mean?
It's good enough. It's good enough.
So I was doing recipe development for a client years ago. The National Pork Board has revised its statements. You can safely cook pork chops, pork tenderloin, and pork loin to 145 degrees Fahrenheit and be good.
See?
So that is literally the National Pork Board.
This is what I'm saying.
That is not me. I can't get in trouble.
And think about all that flavor and all of the juices and moisture that you're saving in those last 10, 20 degrees that are going to stay in there now. So that's awesome. So I love that you are brave enough to say, I'm okay to fail. I'm okay to do this, because that's really the edge of creativity, right? And that's where you find the next best recipe. I think one of my fears, and that I always, like, if we ever do venison in our house, because my wife, and we're going to talk about this at some point, but my wife is very nervous about venison because it can be very gamey, of course. That's one of the things that a lot of people think about. But what I always worry about, I feel like anytime that I cook something new, there's a moment in time where I think, I really should taste this, but I'm nervous. I hope it tastes okay. And you just got to go through with it, and you got to, just make it happen. And you can always tweak things. It's better to just try and kind of work through that. And I don't know. This cookbook has been so cool for me because I thought there was a recipe that I had made out of here, but I must have found it somewhere else. But I have 14 pages that I have earmarked of all of these different recipes, because it's just different ways to think about it. It's super easy, like you said, under 30 minutes in order to do it. And right now in Wisconsin, our season has been up and running for over a month now, but we talk about this a lot, or one of my favorite terms is freezer management, of how you're trying to get rid of last year's, or if you've got 2 years worth, and just trying to find different adventurous ways of utilizing what you have available instead of paying, I think I saw a hamburger, like 4 hamburgers was $10 at the grocery store. It's just crazy.
I know. It is crazy. It is crazy. And a couple of things you just said that I would love to pull out. It's really hard when you try something new. And I think a lot of times what I see with wild game is when somebody tries a wild game recipe, they'll try something that's like outside of their comfort zone, and then it's also wild game. What I always recommend people do, especially for like little kids, and if you're just trying to introduce yourself to something new, is pick a familiar recipe that you love already. Like I always say, does your family love spaghetti? Great. Try the meatballs first. There's a lot in there. There's like balsamic vinegar. There's really good spices and seasonings. There's some caramelized onion and garlic in there. There's some really familiar flavor profiles and a little bit of acid that it's going to make everything a little bit more mild. And then paired with something like really familiar, like spaghetti noodles and maybe some red sauce. It's just kind of like adding something in to what you're already doing. So instead of like totally reinventing the wheel, and like maybe you guys don't eat stew a lot. Maybe don't start with venison stew because it's huge chunks of venison, right? That's a lot in a mouth. But like if it's, I always encourage people to try new cuts, but like there's nothing wrong with, if you're not sure if you like deer meat, getting a lot of ground and just like, do you really like chili? Make my chili recipe. If you don't think you like wild game, make my chili recipe, please. And then, the whole family will put some cheese in there, put some sour cream, like make it how you like it. It doesn't have to be such a departure from what feels like home to you.
And who doesn't love chili? Like it's the most palatable.
Isn't that the safest way to get somebody into eating venison? Is it chili?
It is, but gosh, like I love chili. Like I'm all about doing something new and different in culinary, but at the same time, you can't beat just like sitting down with like a huge buttery tub of cornbread and some chili. Like my daughter, she's 2.5, she crushes it. It's always been like her favorite thing. I mean, she just like, so.
Yeah. All right, so chili. So are you a sweet chili, a spicy chili, a very bean chili?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, so
This could be a whole show. I get that. But...
I know. A dissertation on chili. So I'm like spicy and acidic, and like really bright flavors. I do use beans, but I can go without beans. I have to have fresh vegetables in mine, so I have to do onions and pepper, and then I use diced tomato. So I am a little more like healthfully minded. So we do a lot of veggies in our house. But that being said, there's no food rules around here. So my chili is always those fresh components, ground meat, usually venison or bear if we have it, or local beef. And then, we added in the tomatoes. I use fresh orange and fresh lime in all of my wild game chilies, which makes it a big difference. Apple cider vinegar is also really great.
Yep.
People are always like, holy cow, when they see how much spice I use. Mild chili powder doesn't have to be spicy, but like I use 2 heaping tablespoons, which people are always like, whoa, that's a lot, but it's needed. Like you need that. And I use cumin too. Really great. My recipe in the cookbook in Venison Every Day is a chipotle chocolate version. That's a little bit more elevated. It's got the smokiness from like a unsweetened Mexican chocolate and some chipotles, just like the canned chipotles. It's very easy to like keep stuff on hand if you just want to. Sometimes what I'll do with that recipe is I'll just make my classic venison chili, which is on my blog, MissAllie'sKitchen.com. And then I'll like make it until it's time to add the flavoring components. And then I'll just like put half in a small saucepan for my husband and I, because we like big flavors and spice. But like if my daughter's eating and my mom's here, they're more mild eaters. So they'll just do the regular.
That's a great tip, Allie. That is an absolute fantastic tip. Chili is one of those things in our house too. Like you can only make it in one size, and it's to feed 12 to 20 people. Like you can't make it smaller.
It's food for a week, yeah.
But to split it in half and do that, so if you have others that aren't into as bold of flavors, as I would say that they're Minnesota eaters, you can tone it down for them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you can do that with a lot. You can do that. I mean, even with like, if you want to make my bolognese and you have eaters that are like really like a spicy kind of like arrabbiata style, what you could do is you could take half of the bolognese, which is just like a traditional red meat sauce. And then like when you're getting maybe a half hour before serving, you take another saucepan and a little bit of oil, you heat some like chili flakes. You could even add some like Calabrian chili oil, and then you put in the stuff that you've already made, and you can like zhuzh it up, and then you have your kid friendly and mild palate friendly one, and then you've got your adventurous eater route, and it doesn't take you a whole lot of time. I do that a lot. My dad, my husband, and I are really adventurous eaters, and then my daughter and my mom prefer a little bit, and so does my mother-in-law, prefers a little bit more mild.
All right. Is it mainly just like the main like land proteins, or do you start to work with fish and shellfish as well as far as wild foods go?
I haven't yet. So we've been a little bit, so my husband, a little background, he's a contractor, commercial construction, works on some really large urban projects, and he has been limited to, working a 60, 70-hour week and just like getting out. We're big public land people. So, it takes a lot of time, 365 days a year. Yeah. So he hasn't had a lot of room to broaden. I'd really like to get more into waterfowl. I get a lot of requests for like upland hunting, waterfowl. And I'd love for him to be able to, he does fly fish, be able to work with, especially like trout more. and really expand there. But we've been constrained by time. But in July, he actually left his office corporate position to work on another project we have going, but also to hunt more, hunt during those weekdays and things like that, so we can start to broaden out for people. I don't hunt. I'm an equestrian. People ask me all the time, when are you going to start? Where do you go? That's his thing, man. Like, I like to cook, but I love my horses, and you, again, only get so many hours in a day. And I'm not sure how I would feel if he came to me and was like, okay, I want to ride with you every time. I would be like, oh, that's my time, man.
Yeah, it's kind of,
yeah.
Not that he wouldn't. You know, what will probably happen is when my daughter starts, I'll probably start with her and I'll just see. But I'm big on, like, you don't have to do what somebody else does just because it's their thing. Like, find your own passion. So I've been riding since I was 5, and I'm not slowing down anytime soon. So anyways, long convoluted answer. I want to. We'll get there, not yet. But I just find that the majority of the U.S. population, like, I've been blown away. People I would have never thought come up to me like, I have venison in my freezer. I don't know what to do with it. Or like, oh, my dad's hunted for years, and every Christmas he gives me like a quarter of a deer and it just sits there. Or, you know, they know somebody who hunts and they've got access to it and they're not using it. And that just like breaks my heart a little bit for the animal. Obviously, I'm an animal person, but I'm hugely supportive of conservation efforts. Breaks my heart for the animal and for their wallets. Like, geez, if you can get access to a quarter of an animal, holy cow, like, your grocery bill is going to decline real quick. So, yeah.
So what is, you're talking about the public land and all that, how it, obviously, you're in Pennsylvania or you're in Okay.
Pennsylvania.
So you're obviously in a very, very great state for deer hunting. I mean, it's one of the big ones. What's the outlook for deer population and some of that stuff?
You know, obviously my husband's the better one to talk to about this. I feel like in the last year, conversations have been getting better. A few years ago, it was looking kind of bleak in our areas and some of the areas north of us. Our area is interesting. You really got to get in there because we're in Schuylkill County, so it's a lot of people come here to hunt. But then in more urban and suburban areas, it's dangerously large, the population. Like, there seems to be more management needed. Like, where my parents live, it's a Philadelphia suburb, about 45 minutes out, but it's a lot of farmland. I mean, you got to watch, you know, this time of year at night. Like, you have to be really careful. So it really differs by where you are. You know, in our area, it can be a little bit tough. You know, we generally select to take mainly large, mature, end-of-life bucks just for that reason in our area. And I say we, it's my husband, but, you know, down in certain areas, especially suburban areas, it can be a real problem. So
you did say something right there when you said, you know, we, it's just your husband. Actually, I think it is we. I think it is both of you because, you know, you're such a part of the entire process. And that's what we've talked about on this show and collectively amongst us is, you know, when it comes to life in the outdoors and outdoors lifestyle, especially hunting, the whole family is involved and always can be involved, you know, because the time away, that's on the entire family. It's not just, you know, on one person, you know, the meals and what comes from that. I know, Tasker, we talked about, you know, you bringing your wife just to track trail cameras, you know, you go for a hike together and track camp. Like,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
You know, and like having kids is a great way to do it. Like my son, you know, loves to get together every time I'm rigging and doing stuff before, you know, going fishing or a tournament, you know, he's involved in playing with things. It's just so that I think it is actually always we.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, what's been interesting for me in my journey, obviously not coming from a hunting family, I remember our first hunting season, I was a little like, okay, you're gone every weekend pretty much in the fall. And I have a little bit of a different perspective since I am an equestrian, which is, it's a big time commitment. So I think I have a little bit of a deeper understanding, and I understand that some people don't have that point of reference, but it's a time suck, I guess, but it's a better way. But what I've found that's really interesting from just my journey, I say just, but like there's so many amazing bloggers, but I used to just be a food blogger. I was trying to do like healthy recipes for busy families, and I just couldn't find an audience. And when I pivoted to focus on wild game, because it was what was actually going on in our house, I just had this like deeper appreciation, and I personally look forward to hunting season now. I mean, I have my own thing going. I have my own passions. I obviously have my own business, and it means we can keep our doors open at Miss Allie's Kitchen when we have meat coming in. So I have an appreciation because it provides an income for our family as well. But I think it's really interesting when you get involved in the kitchen, just as a family and together and involved in the entire process. Like, you can, even if you don't want to hunt, you can still like, I scout properties, I love to be on Onyx, like looking just on different property lines and like different points where he can drop in. And it's just really cool to be involved and just to learn. I had no point of reference. I didn't even know what conservation was 6 years ago. Like, I didn't understand. Like, I just thought it was something cool that people did. Well, no, probably 10 years ago at this point now.
I know time flies so fast. And then there's that pandemic that we all, everything becomes a blur. You're like, was that
ago, I just thought it was like a bonding thing that people did. I didn't understand that it could like kind of sustain our ecosystem at large. And like, it's really interesting. So I hear the men and women out there who have a significant other or a spouse that hunts, and maybe you don't, and it can feel like you're left on the sidelines, but I'd encourage you to dig a little deeper. It's not necessarily just them wanting to like get out, sit in a tree stand and like have a break. It's something more than that. So
and don't get down on someone when they don't make a harvest every time. That's
it's
You've been deer hunting 4 times and you haven't shot anything yet? Oh, you must be so terrible. Well, you haven't
caught anything out there today?
Yeah. That's what my favorite hunting. Yeah, did you catch anything today?
Yeah. Oh, I know. Oh, yeah. It's really hard, especially when you're going at it from, a mindset of like, you're really trying to manage a population and like select an animal maybe that you think might be a better fit than another animal. Everybody's like, I got deer in my yard. And it's like, okay, well, that's a mom and she's got her baby with her right there. And like, that might not be the best, point. Not that we're against doe hunting at all, but, there's just a point of reference. But yeah, it can take years. I mean, I saw early some lucky years, and even the year I came out, I was writing the cookbook. My husband didn't make a harvest. Talk about pressure. My father-in-law was kind enough to donate all of the meat for my cookbook, and actually friends of ours. They donated. No, I'm sorry. We had 3 different people come forward with meat for my cookbook, and they're all named in the acknowledgments. But it doesn't happen every year, and when your wife is writing a cookbook and she's on you. But you know what? It was a good point of understanding. So
I mean, for their sake, it's like, oh, I know that I'm going to get a good meal out of it, I assume anyway. So yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm like, come here, let me work with it, and here you go. Your name's in a book.
I feel like I wouldn't be able to handle the pressure if my wife was writing a cookbook that I had to make a harvest this year. Because there's years where we have gone where we haven't even seen a deer. And then we've been fortunate now twice where we've gotten 4 either doe or bucks in one season. And it's so hit or miss. And I don't think that people outside of actually getting out there and doing it understand, especially we're both public land guys as well.
Yeah.
And, I think we've been fortunate that we've seen a lot of deer this year. We've both been able to draw back on an animal.
Some of us have flung arrows, but it was an accidental situation.
I didn't want to bring that up and embarrass you.
That happened. It happened.
You're at full draw, and you just want to get that little extra move, and you pull, and your elbow bumps the tree, and it bumped my release, and off goes the arrow. And my first thought, and I've talked about this on the show, was all I'm seeing is an arrow flying, and it's headed directly at the deer's hind end, and I'm panicking as it's happening. Please don't! Oh my gosh! No! And it just sailed and missed, and I was so grateful and so happy. You'd never think to be so happy on a miss.
Right.
I was so happy.
Yeah,
but that's the worst nightmare of like injuring an animal. But you know what? It happens. Like even to the best, most experienced, it happens. And yeah, I know it's a lot of pressure. He's a saint. Moral of the story is he's a saint. He just lets me come up with these crazy convoluted ideas like, let's write a cookbook and let's buy a wedding venue and let's do this. And he's just like, all right, what do you need? So
Yeah.
he gets the gold medal of, dealing with a lot of pressure. I'm a very high energy idea person, and he is very methodical and patient. But
Well, I feel like being a contractor, you kind of need to have that, right?
yeah.
You can't have two of the same in a relationship, and this is something my wife and I talk about. She's a doctor's assistant, a surgical assistant in plastics and surgery, and I'm the very creative person. Like I am the obviously in this world and talking, and I also do video production and drawing, and I'm a very creative person. She is not. Yeah. So it's like we have the one that's like very. And not saying that I'm dumb, but there's an intelligent and then there's an art creative. We couldn't have two of the, two of one. No, that's what makes our balance great.
Right. And totally. Yeah.
Imagine two of you in your household. You'd never be able, nothing would get done, and you'd all want to cook different things, and
you'd make 12 meals a day.
Who knows? Who knows? It would just be everything would be up in the sky, and there would be 1,000 things going, and it's very grounding. But my husband would never start. He always says, you would never finish, but I would never start. So it's a very good, he's really good with me. Let's just take it down a notch. Let's perfect it, and then we'll put it out. Not perfect. Perfection is just a convoluted thing. But let's excellence it, and then we'll put it out.
My wife often describes my brain as squirrels at a rave.
Oh yeah, totally. We're there. You have to have one. But I've always been very creative, and when you're culinary and just kind of all pie in the sky, but it works, right? But I'm lucky to have a very grounded hunter that just is. He's an energy diffuser, maybe, if you will.
That's great. So back to the food stuff again. Miss Allie's Kitchen. Yeah. You can check it out. They got the website. You're on every social media, which actually I'm on your YouTube right now. I need to subscribe to you because I realized you're not at 1,000 subscribers yet. We got to get you. We got to get you verified in there. I don't put a whole
focus on YouTube. I just put it out there for people that want the video on my blog. But I know I got to get there.
Well, I got you one more closer there. So
thanks. I appreciate it. I'll follow back.
Absolutely. Got to go check that stuff out. As I'm paging the website, and again, the creativity, it's all over the place. I'm looking at one here, venison egg roll in a bowl. That's something I've done for years with ground turkey, ground pork. Didn't dawn on me to use ground venison. It's.
Oh, yeah. Again, orange and lime, fresh orange juice and fresh lime juice in the ground. It's so good with a little bit of the sesame oil, your spicy sriracha on top. That's actually a really good one. And
it's super easy.
So easy.
Low calorie.
But if low calorie. But if you eat out a lot and you really like Asian fusion places, maybe you're a more adventurous eater, but you don't know what to do with wild game, and you're I don't want chili. Try that one. It's a good one.
That was thought.
Yeah. So we've got a little bit of time left. I think we planned for about 45 minutes, but so I have a couple questions, and some we've already gone through. My segment of 5 questions for the chef, which I think we've covered 2 of them already. So what's the most popular recipe that you've ever posted, or whether that's wild game or if that's something else, whatever you think is the most popular one or the one you've gotten a ton of feedback on?
My venison stew recipe is my most popular to date. It is so viral. 3 years later, and that was kind of the first jumping off point. I published an Instant Pot venison stew in 2018 before I focused on wild game, and it went viral on Pinterest. I use a spice blend called Herbes de Provence. It's a very simple and straightforward recipe, but it's just kind of next level. And I give people substitutions, but that's one of them. Guys, go to Walmart and spend $2 on Herbes de Provence. Really, it's $2. It's in the spice section, and you can get the organic variety. Just do it. And the reviews are just, people love it. So that's my most popular, followed by the chili and then the roast.
I think probably the 3 most approachable type things that people would search for or look for anyway. Yeah,
but they're a little modernized. They're kind of your grandma's recipes, but written by a millennial.
Love it. I'm gonna jump in real quick. One other thing here too, just kind of piggyback of that. One of the other things I love seeing in your recipes is a lot of your ingredients. Here's one: duck fat or beef or venison tallow. Like, you're right there with that. I think it's great because I think those are, especially in wild game, it's an underutilized thing that people just toss. I'm all about rendering venison fat. I mean, not only just to cook with, you could use it for making candles. Bear, fantastic fat again to render.
Oh, soaps. Yeah, I know. I haven't done that. I want to.
I do it like beef. I'm a big chuck is like the best cut of a beef. Like, to me, you do chuck eye steaks and stuff I do all the time, and then like any fat in there, I'll take and render off. And we keep beef fat, beef tallow in the fridge. The little bits that are left over in the pan, those are dog treats. It's, so to see.
Yeah, I know. Well, and I just think it doesn't have to be so complicated. It really, you could just stick it in a jar once it's a little bit cool and stick it in the fridge. I know duck fat keeps for 6 months at least in the fridge. Like, it doesn't have to be like, it's not anything crazy. It's very easy to do. You can use other things too, but you can also buy, like, in my local health store, they sell just like frozen tubs of beef tallow from the local farms that they source from too. So it doesn't, like, you don't have to do it yourself. The reason I use that, it's just really high smoke point. So, when you're like searing roasts and stuff, which I'm sure but if people are curious that are listening in, sometimes if you're using like butter or olive oil, it gets really, really smoky, which is what we don't want. And then sometimes there can be that like kind of rancidity or like bitter taste.
Yes, butter will burn instantly, get bitter on you. And that's some people, I think, when you mention things saying that they don't taste good or it's messing up, it's something in the process that maybe affected the outcome.
Exactly.
I think it's an intimidation thing too. People are concerned that they might store it for too long. Like you said, it might be 6 months for, some of those fats. But I think just an intimidation factor that people who are already working with an unfamiliar product and then trying to add something in and like saving, the fats or, the drippings or whatever. I think that's why I don't do it, because I think I'm more so just intimidated by it.
Intimidated. I get that. What I would say is just start step by step then. And like my recipes will always give you an alternative for something like that. Except if it's like herbs de Provence and I'm like, you can order it from Thrive Market, Walmart, your grocery stores have it.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm like, you can get it.
Right.
You can get it online. You can get it from Amazon.
Sure.
It will like take you to the next level. But if it's something that's a little bit more of like a concept, like you can do clarified butter. You can use avocado oil, something like that has a higher smoke point, which I'll always like try to explain. And again, like, I don't think people realize how much like I'm in my DMs on Instagram. So like if you see something, you have a question, that is the best way to get like an under 24-hour response. I love talking to people. So
yeah. All right, we've talked a bunch about it, but different tips and tricks that you have for working with wild game. So I guess for venison specifically, the couple things that I heard from you is orange and lime. So making sure you have the right amount of acid in there or the citrus in there. And then I think the other thing is not overcooking it, because that can happen so quickly and so easily, especially when it's your first couple times, like with steaks or whatever that might be. Any other hot tips for working with wild game?
So you hit the nail on the head. And if people want like a comprehensive guide, you can totally go to my website, missallieskitchen.com, and just search like tips. There's quite a few posts that just get you like really into the basics, and then they can go to a deeper level. But the thing you said about make sure you're not cooking it too long or overcooking, totally true for steaks, kebabs, burgers, something like that. But if you're working with like roasts, or like I love a whole shank, like, or a leg,
ossobuco,
or I know a lot of people like ossobuco, but actually you want to make sure you're cooking long enough. So if you're not getting a result that's super tender, what I want people to do is drop your oven temp and then just keep cooking it until it actually does fall apart. That took me a while to learn, especially with the shank cut. Like, I've had some times where it did take me 6 hours to get the result I was looking for, especially when I'm using like a pellet grill. But if you just keep going and keep, maybe putting some liquid over top of it, so braising it. So braising is just like cooking something low and slow in liquid. You will get a tender result. Same thing with the stew. If you're just like biting into it and you're like, it's a little tough, cook it like maybe a half hour to an hour longer. So if you're doing something where something is cooked and you're wanting it to be fall apart tender, make sure you're cooking long enough. But if you're doing like steaks, chops, kebabs, burgers, don't cook too long, because you're going to wind up with a hockey puck. So I hope that's not confusing.
No.
But
no, that makes sense,
that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
I was always the person I thought I would hate Instant Pots, and for that length thing, getting things longer, dang, it has been good. Like, to the point of doing pork shoulders. I'm a barbecue guy, too. I just was like, man, why would I spend 18 hours doing a pork shoulder? So now what I'll do is I'll split it in half, and I'll smoke it on my smoker for 5 hours, and then I'll take it and throw it in the Instant Pot for an hour on high pressure. Boom. It was like an 18-hour cook. It's amazing how that cheats.
Amazing. I know. Mine broke, and I need to get... One thing people will be surprised, I hate gadgets. I've got a slow cooker, cast iron pans, and a couple really good knives. Like,
we speak the same language. Language.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, crap. And we don't have a giant kitchen either. So, but I need to get my Instant Pot fixed because I was using it, and I also really like it for, like, bone broth and stuff like that. It can cut down the time. Like, my slow cooker, I'm usually going like 24 hours, but in an Instant Pot, you can get something in like, what is it, 2, 3? I haven't done it in a while.
My shrimp and chicken stocks, I do 3 hours. I'm going to do shrimp and chicken stocks and stuff,
So there you go.
Yeah.
Little hack.
All right. Favorite cut of wild game and why?
Oh, so good.
You can give us a couple. That's fine.
I have two. So a backstrap or a loin, the chops. For like a quick, easy family meal that's going to like knock your socks off, I do this. It literally takes me less than 15 minutes start to finish. And my daughter loves this. Just in the cast iron with some I just put it in there with, if you've got venison or beef tallow or duck fat, sear it in that, or avocado oil. Flip it, baste it with some butter with a little bit of like smashed garlic. If you have fresh herbs, great. If you don't, fine. And then like literally 3 minutes later, or maybe 4 or 5, so I don't get in trouble from people like yelling at me for eating my meat too rare, but and serving it to my toddler. But it's so easy. And like I'll admit it, sometimes I do microwave rice and microwave veggie with it. Like if it's like I'm running out the door and we literally have 15 minutes to get dinner on the table, it is so good. I can't get a steak at a restaurant as good as that. Like we're ruined forever. Like it's just the best. And then a shank. If I want something fun. Yeah, you got it.
I'm right. My wife says all the time, she's like, I'm never ordering steak at a restaurant because why? Like, you do it at home.
You can do it so good at home. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you control it and you get it exactly how you want it. But I forgot to mention when you do the chops, after you finish, let rest for at least 10 minutes, but finish it with a squeeze of lemon juice and flaky sea salt. So easy to do. Honestly, that probably is my favorite thing. And year round, because, in the winter, you can serve it with like, a mashed or pureed root vegetable or potato and maybe some like charred kale or something, or like I did like Swiss chard last night, which was really good. And in the summer you can just like do it on the grill or whatever, or just do it fast and then just whatever you've got in your garden right there with it. But I do love a whole roasted shank. I know a lot of people do osso buco, as again, I'm lazy. So I don't often like get through cutting through the bone, just because again, I can be really lazy, but I really like a slow braised shank over I usually like to do it over polenta. So good. It's so really cozy. Good. I think it's better than roast because it's more gelatinous. And I'm very vain and I'm like, this is like Botox, eating Botox. But I don't have Botox. Maybe it's because I eat a lot of venison shanks. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So there it is.
Well, the other questions, I think we went over everything else, just the tips. I had the age-old question of my wife or my significant other doesn't like venison, is too gamey or whatever. What are easy ways to incorporate that? So doing it with, the recipes that are comfortable for you. Obviously, chili is like always number one that I tell people. But anytime that you have ground beef, you can replace that with ground venison.
Yeah, you can. Just add a little acid. So if you're going Italian, red wine vinegar, balsamic vinegar. If you're maybe doing something with some like Latin or South American flair, maybe do a little ACV or lime or fresh orange. And then like Mediterranean cuisines loves lemon and red wine vinegar. That right alone there, change the game for you.
I think you nailed it right there. You absolutely hit it. With all three of those things, you can make anything, and you would just naming off some of the stuff on your website to show the versatility of wild game. It doesn't have to just be burgers, chili, steaks. You can actually elevate it and do something that people will love, and people might not expect, that, oh, that was venison? What?
Yeah. It's my favorite thing that people say to me, that's venison.
Sometimes I feel like I just need to cook with ground venison and just not say anything. But then part of me has this guilt that I'm like, I have to tell her. I have to tell her. So
I know. I usually tell people, I definitely, with my mom, told her after.
Okay. And then she's like, oh, yeah, that wasn't bad.
Yeah. It was definitely like a mental thing for her. And a lot of people that don't understand, not to get to a nitty gritty, and like how meat is sourced for grocery stores, they think it's cruel. And then you find out what really goes on and you're like, oh, wow. Okay. Maybe that's actually totally the reverse, but I understand where that perspective comes from. That's how I grew up. So no shade. I understand. But I definitely, the first time I served her my venison meatballs, I didn't disclose what it was. And she was like, why are these so good today? I'm like, well, I'll tell you why. Because this is like fresh meat.
Yeah.
So
something that comes from our lands and our waters to me is nothing better. My wife's only rule still is that, she doesn't like her meal to have a face. So, like whole fish and stuff. Whereas like I'm the person, so like she'll order like a whole trout at a restaurant. I'll immediately take the head and I will just, I will suck everything off the head.
Yeah, I know.
It's like you say, collagen, deliciousness.
Yeah. I know, exactly. Free Botox.
I can definitely see that, though. So last weekend when I was out, I told Ritter this story, but we've had so many encounters with deer now that are within 20 minutes of daybreak. So like the time that I drew back, I had a buck out in front of me and I just couldn't make out the vitals. So it's like, and if I have a GoPro video that is 12 minutes long, and from the start of the video to like 8.5 minutes in, it's literally night and day difference. So it's like we keep running into these things. I had a doe that walked to 8 yards in front of me, and it was like I made eye contact and there was a stare down, and I'm like, I mean, I probably don't need to do that, but it's just so, I don't know, it's all part of it,
It is.
But, well, I have to confess, so I actually got your cookbook because I kept your cookbook because I didn't get it in time to gift it to my brother-in-law for Christmas last year. And I'm so thankful and so glad that I did, because it's just been, there's a ton of good recipes in here.
Thank you.
Lots of different tips and tricks and different things. So if you want to, I don't know if you want to take a second and just give us a shout out for your website and your Instagram and all of that stuff so people know where to find you.
Sure. Great. Well, I just really appreciate it. A lot of people don't realize, I did write the book. I was actually pregnant with our daughter. I photographed the whole thing myself. It was like a labor of love. And I just, when I opened pre-orders, I only sold like 200 copies. And I was like, okay, well, whatever, that's fine. It was a great project to do. And the fact that the book took off like it is, and it's in large retailers and Cabela's and Bass Pro, and people are like messaging me, I'm just a small town girl and I just like to cook. So
yeah,
it means a lot. It really does. And I'm really grateful to anybody who has even liked a photo with the book in it. Like it means a lot. So thank you. Thank you for gifting it. But yes, I'm Allie Doran at Miss Allie's Kitchen. My website is missallieskitchen.com. My book is Venison Every Day. Again, available anywhere books are sold, including Amazon, Cabela's, and Bass Pro. I'm all over social media. My Instagram is miss.allie's kitchen. Started too late to get the just the full, so get the dot in there. But
you got to find that Miss Allie's Kitchen and be like, what'll it take? And a meal,
I know.
$20. Can I get your handle from you?
Yeah. But then I'm really active on TikTok too, at Miss Allie's Kitchen. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Pinterest if you want to save some recipes, and YouTube as well. But thank you for having me. It's a giant pleasure, and I just like to talk about food.
No, it's great. And like I said, as soon as the book was in my hands and we got talking about things, I instantly was like, this is someone that we should definitely try and get on, because they know food. I think they have a great perspective. And, now even knowing more of the story, I'm so glad, because I love to uplift others, and I think we're all better when we uplift each other and showcase, each other, instead of it'd be easier to be like, oh, this is not, like everyone wants to be so negative. But like, honestly, it's just cool. So thank you for taking the time to make the book, to be yourself, and to, put that content out there. It's really cool.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. This is really fun.
Amazing what a chimichurri could start,
Exactly. You don't think
Right? No problem.
Yeah.
It was great, guys. Thanks for having me. I
It's
really
awesome.
appreciate it.
No, we really appreciate it. I'm glad it worked out.
Yep.
It's, I think, a great time to talk about it because a lot of people have already either got a harvest or, the rut's coming up here in Wisconsin. So
I know. Here it comes. Us too.
here it comes.
Cross
Yeah.
my fingers.
Yeah. Good luck to your husband. And thanks again.
I would say good luck on your new space, your new venture, everything you're
Oh,
doing.
thanks. Yeah, we're excited. We are excited. I'm hoping that'll be. It's been a very convoluted, long ride, but the whole point of it originally was to be my studio kitchen. I need a studio kitchen to cook. It's just hard when I'm filming for Sporting Chef and stuff, and our little galley kitchen. There's not much room.
So I just got the outdoor channel, and I missed the episode of that. Because was it one full episode, or are you just doing little features?
I'm doing little features, but I've been on for a year and a half now. That was not
okay.
So there's been a rebrand because Stacey Lynn Harris took over for Scott Lasaf.
Right.
So there's been a rebrand, which is why there's been a little bit more social behind it. And,
sure.
The outdoor channel bought the Sporting Chef, so it's on the Sportsman channel and the outdoor channel now.
Oh, cool.
So I was on the Sportsman channel. When did we start? It was. The back half of 2020, early 2021 when we started filming. I'm sorry, but Scott had endorsed my book and was like, "Hey, great book. You want to come on the show?" And I was like, "Oh, heck yeah!"
Yeah, of course.
So I've been on for a while. So if you're ever watching reruns, I'm on a lot of them, especially when it's just Scott. But now Stacey's hosting, and I think I'll be on 4 segments this year. I think that's however many I gave them. We usually just film here and then just give them what we can.
Yeah.
And then,
That's awesome.
It's fun. Thank you for having me. It's a giant pleasure, and I just like to talk about food.
Oh, absolutely, Allie. We love to talk about food as well. Again, thanks. You want to check out Miss Allie's Kitchen on all the socials. Again, MissAllie'sKitchen.com for the blog that's got some really cool content as well. So that's going to wrap it up for this week. Thank you so much, and hopefully you get a chance, if you haven't already, harvest yourself some venison. Cook up some cool stuff. Go check out what Allie's got for you, and enjoy a good meal with your friends and family. For Tasker, Wags, I'm Shaun Ritter. This is Tailgate Talk.